Christmas used to mean something different when I was a kid. It meant lights and warmth, my mom humming along to some old Nat King Cole record, and the sweet smell of cinnamon rolls baking in the oven. But somewhere along the way, that magic got buried under layers of comparison, backhanded compliments, and awkward silence. I'm Marcus, 34, single, and self-employed. I run a small graphic design business out of my apartment, not flashy, not lucrative, but it pays the bills and lets me live a life that's mine. That alone, apparently, makes me the family failure. My brother Evan, 2 years younger and a real estate agent with a booming Instagram presence, is the golden child. He wears flashy watches and drives a Tesla, always parks it right at the curb so everyone at the family gatherings can't miss it. My sister Nicole, she married some tech guy who made a lot of money in crypto and now spends her days posting her kids' piano recitals and organic snack ideas online. Me? I show up, hand out carefully chosen gifts, and pray no one asks what I'm doing these days. This Christmas, the annual dinner was hosted at my parents' place, like always. It was a tradition: roast beef, too many side dishes, that weird gelatin salad my aunt still insists is classic, and a giant, overly decorated tree under which we all placed our gifts. I had spent hours picking mine out. Thoughtful things. A rare record for Dad, a signed cookbook for Mom, a fancy decanter Evan had once admired, a designer scarf Nicole had mentioned in passing last year. Even the nieces and nephews got personalized gift boxes I'd hand-wrapped with little illustrations on the tags. When I arrived, nobody even looked up. "Hey," I mumbled, holding a bag in each hand. Evan glanced over, gave a half-wave, then returned to his conversation about rental markets. Mom greeted me with a distracted, "Oh, Marcus. You made it," like I was the UPS guy dropping off a package. I smiled, nodded, and set the gifts under the tree. I told myself it was fine. They're just distracted. It's the holidays. Everyone's tense. But the night unfolded the way it always did, only this time worse. Nicole spent dinner loudly praising her kids for their advanced reading levels while side-eyeing my empty chair across the table. Evan regaled everyone with a story about closing a $2 million deal and how the buyer had flown in from Dubai. Mom kept asking if I was still working on that artsy thing, like I was finger painting in a basement somewhere. Every attempt I made to join a conversation got cut off by someone redirecting it back to Evan's success or Nicole's parenting. And then it happened. My father stood up, clinking his glass for a toast. Everyone quieted, eyes shining in the candlelight. The only sound was the fire crackling softly behind him. "I just want to say how proud I am," he began. "This year has been incredible. Watching our family grow, watching our kids achieve such amazing things." He turned to Evan. "Evan, your accomplishments this year have been extraordinary. You're building something that matters. And Nicole, raising those bright young stars. We're all just so lucky." He paused, lifted his glass, and added, "Let's raise a toast to the children who actually made something of their lives." The words hung in the air, sharp and cold. I sat perfectly still, trying to smile like it didn't gut me. Nicole clinked her glass against Evan's, both grinning like this was some awards show. My name had never even crossed his lips. Then Evan looked straight at me and let out a small snort. "You should be grateful we even let you come, man. This is family stuff." A few people chuckled. Not loudly, but enough. My jaw tightened. I glanced around the table. No one said anything. Not even Mom. She just sipped her drink and stared at her plate like the salmon needed her full attention. I stared down at my plate, barely touched. The gift tags I'd so carefully written flashed in my mind. To Dad, thanks for the music. To Evan, congrats on the Tesla. To Nicole, for cozy mornings and good taste. My stomach twisted. I stood up slowly. No one noticed at first. Then Nicole asked, "You okay?" I didn't answer. I walked to the coat rack, took my jacket, and paused at the tree. All the gifts I'd brought were still there, glimmering beneath the lights. Dozens of others were stacked around them, all shiny packaging and department store bows. And then I remembered the one I hadn't placed yet, the one still in my coat pocket. I turned back, looked at them all, laughing, toasting, pretending like this wasn't some carefully orchestrated humiliation, and said nothing. I just walked out. The cold slapped me in the face as I stepped into the night. Snow had started falling again, soft and quiet. I slid into my car, shut the door, and exhaled. My hands trembled, not from the cold, from the restraint, from the years of swallowing every slight, every joke at my expense, every omission. But tonight, I had left them one final surprise. Something they wouldn't even notice until they tore into their gifts the next morning. And when they did, Well, let's just say Christmas morning would feel a little different this year. I didn't sleep that night. Back in my apartment, the walls felt too quiet, too clean, an eerie contrast to the chaos still likely unfolding hours away at my parents' place. I poured myself a drink, turned on the dim fairy lights strung across my windows, and sat on the couch staring at the fireplace screensaver on my TV. The world outside was hushed, blanketed in snow and silence, but inside me, everything burned. My phone buzzed a few times, mostly group texts. Nicole sending a blurry photo of Evan doing his stupid champagne-sabering trick in the backyard. Mom replying with heart emojis. Dad ignoring my existence altogether, as usual. Not a single person asked where I'd gone. Perfect. I waited. Patiently. The same way I'd waited through years of being the afterthought. The forgotten sibling. The one who chose a hobby over a real job, according to my dad. But I wasn't forgotten this time. Because beneath that tree, mixed in with the shiny wrapped gifts and luxury store bags, was a small, square box wrapped in plain brown paper. No bow. No tag. It looked like an afterthought. But it wasn't. It was deliberate. Tucked deep behind the others. Placed carefully so that eventually, when enough gifts had been opened, it would catch someone's eye. I knew who it would be. Nicole always played cleanup duty after gifts, carefully sorting through the leftover wrapping in boxes like she was managing a corporate inventory room. It would start as confusion. A plain brown box? No label? Someone must have forgotten. Curiosity would win. They'd open it. Inside, they'd find 20 glossy, high-quality prints, custom designed and professionally bound. Each one looked like a page from a magazine. Headlines in bold, captions below, and above all, receipts. Because if there's one thing I learned from being the unsuccessful one in the family, it's how to observe. And I had receipts for everything. The front page? A photograph of Evan standing in front of a house, smiling for Instagram. Captioned, "Client review. Said this home was a legal nightmare and left within a week. Evan refused to refund the deposit." I had the Reddit thread. The screenshots. The Better Business Bureau complaint. Next, Nicole's husband. One full page dedicated to a Zoom screenshot. He was in a meeting, one I happened to stumble into while designing a presentation for a friend's startup. There he was, pitching my portfolio, graphics I had created, to a potential investor. Word for word. Even the watermark I had embedded into the file, faint but traceable, was still intact. Plagiarism, plain and simple. I documented every moment I had ever been overlooked, and I used it not to whine, but to build. There was a copy of the contract my dad had signed with the developer that Evan introduced him to 2 years ago, the one that led to them losing $80,000 in a failed family investment. A contract I'd reviewed quietly, after the fact, and immediately spotted 3 glaring red flags. Red flags I wasn't asked to find, because why ask the artist, right? Then there were emails, printed copies, Mom's messages to my aunt, calling me a sweet soul, but a bit of a disappointment. Evan forwarding a meme of a guy playing Xbox with the caption, "Marcus at work." Nicole asking my parents privately if they could not hype up Marcus too much in front of the kids. It's confusing when they think doing art is enough. But the crown jewel was a letter. My letter. A letter I had rewritten and rewritten for weeks. Calm. Poised. Not emotional, just honest. In it, I laid out the truth they never wanted to hear. How I had paid Mom's credit card bill for 8 months straight during Dad's medical leave and never told anyone. How I had designed Nicole's Etsy branding and created her influencer website for free, only for her to turn around and hire someone else for the real work. How I once gave Evan a $5,000 loan during a dry quarter, which he never repaid, and now jokes about like it was a birthday gift. I ended the letter with one line. "You've mistaken my silence for weakness. You won't make that mistake again." And taped to the back of the letter, a small USB drive. Encrypted, of course, but it contained every file, every screenshot, every document they'd just flipped through in physical form, plus a few extras I didn't print. One was a voice message from my dad, accidentally sent to me, where he called me the family stray. Another was an email thread where Nicole asked Evan if I was even mentally stable enough to be included in the family vacation to Maui last year. The same trip they told me they couldn't afford. All of it was there. But the real revenge? The final file on the drive. A PDF titled Distribution Plan. It outlined where everything would go if I hit send. Not just to them, but to their clients. Evan's brokerage, Nicole's online sponsors, my dad's golf club board, where he loved parading himself around as the model family man. Now, to be clear, I hadn't sent anything. Not yet. That was the part that would keep them up at night. The part that would force them to check their inboxes, to scan every subject line, to whisper about what I might do next. Because they didn't know what I'd left them. Not yet. But the moment Nicole found that plain brown box, the fuse would be lit. And I'd already poured myself a second drink, phone on silent, eyes on the snow quietly blanketing the world outside. Let them wonder. Let them sweat. They had no idea what was coming. It was 9:43 a.m. the next morning when the first text came in. Nicole texted, "Hey, did you leave something under the tree? Like a weird box." I didn't respond. I stared at my screen, watching the little typing bubble appear, disappear, then pop back up again like it was panicking. Nicole texted again. There was no tag. No one knew who it was from. But it had stuff about Evan, and Mom, and me. Still, I said nothing. I set the phone down on the table and went back to sipping my coffee, letting the steam hit my face like a lazy exhale. The quiet was suddenly alive with possibility. For once, I wasn't the one scrambling to fix something. Within the next 10 minutes, my phone exploded. Evan texted, "Dude, what is this? Is this a joke? Tell me you didn't seriously give this to the whole family. Bro, we need to talk. Right now." Mom texted, "Marcus, please call me. This isn't like you. This has to be a misunderstanding. We are all very hurt right now." What were you thinking? I laughed. Not out loud, but one of those silent, satisfying laughs where the air catches in your throat and the corners of your mouth move on their own. Then came the group chat. The one I'd been part of for years, but where I was usually ignored unless I volunteered to bring dessert. Suddenly, I was the star. Dad texted, "We found your little surprise." Completely inappropriate. Whatever resentment you're carrying, you need to deal with it privately, not ambush us on Christmas. Nicole texted, "This is manipulative and hurtful. Why would you do this during the holidays?" Evan texted, "This could ruin me. You included client names, man. What were you thinking?" Ah, there it was. Not, "We're sorry." Not, "We didn't realize." Just pure, unfiltered damage control. They weren't upset about what they did. They were upset that I'd finally made them look at it. I didn't answer. I left the chat. Not dramatically, no flouncing exit message, no dramatic, "Goodbye, family." I just vanished. Let them scream into the void. Let them watch my name flicker out of the top of the screen and wonder what came next. Because what they didn't know, and what I certainly wasn't going to tell them, was that the USB drive, it was just a sample. The real files, the full archive, sat safely encrypted in cloud storage. Password protected. Backed up. Categorized by name and date. I hadn't even thought about sending it anywhere yet. That wasn't the point. The point was to make them feel the imbalance they built. To finally understand what it meant to be silenced and overlooked and used, then told, with a smirk, to be grateful. But the thing is, when you throw a match near gasoline, you don't always get to control the size of the fire. By noon, things were unraveling faster than I expected. I got a DM from one of Evan's coworkers. Someone I barely knew. "Hey, I know we don't really talk, but I just wanted to say, I saw what you posted. Or, what got shared. And, you weren't wrong." I blinked. Posted? What do you mean, what got shared? I opened Reddit, just on instinct. Nothing. Then Twitter. Then Instagram. And then I saw it. Someone, not me, had uploaded screenshots. Just a few. One from the contract page. One from the Etsy logo theft. A caption below. "When you're the failure of the family, but the only one with receipts. Merry Christmas." It was blowing up. Fast. It wasn't viral yet, but it was spreading. Enough for people to start asking questions. Enough to rattle the carefully maintained image my family had always flaunted like it was divine truth. I sat back, heart pounding. Not out of fear. Out of something else. Power. For once, I wasn't the one chasing approval or begging for space at the table. I wasn't trying to earn love with loyalty or buy affection with silence. I had flipped the script. I hadn't leaked the screenshots, but someone had. Someone in that house had seen the files and decided the truth needed air. Maybe it was my cousin Jake, who'd always been weirdly sympathetic toward me. Maybe it was my uncle, who'd once told me Evan was a smiling shark. Whoever it was, they'd struck the match. Now the fire was out of my hands, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to stop it. I didn't leave my apartment for the next 48 hours. Not because I was hiding, but because I wanted to sit in the quiet, let everything unfold, and just watch. The texts and calls didn't stop. Evan tried anger first. You need to delete whatever you posted. Now, this is serious, Marcus. I could lose my license. We were just joking, okay? Grow a thicker skin. Then desperation. Man, please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean any of it. Don't ruin my life over a dumb toast. What do you want? Just tell me. I'll do it. Nicole went the guilt route. You have no idea what you've done. I could lose sponsorships. Do you think your niece deserves to have her mother dragged online? I trusted you. You were family. Mom's messages were weepy and vague. Marcus, please. I don't know what's happening. Everyone's fighting. Your father hasn't slept. This isn't like you. We raised you better. Just come over. We can talk. Dad didn't text. He sent one email. No subject line. 2 sentences. You crossed a line. You're no longer welcome in this family. Don't contact us again. I didn't respond to a single one. By the 3rd day, the story had reached local news outlets. Not by name, but the headlines were clear enough for anyone who knew us. Influencer family caught in private feud after anonymous whistleblower exposes secrets. Real estate agent accused of defrauding clients in viral thread. Comment sections exploded. Some people defended them. Others, not so much. Screenshots had a way of silencing denial, especially when the receipts were as airtight as mine. Evan's brokerage issued a public statement. Under internal review, his face disappeared from the company website within 24 hours. Nicole posted a crying selfie on Instagram, captioned, "Taking a break. Please respect our privacy." I almost felt bad. Almost. But then I remembered Evan's smirk at the table. You should be grateful we even let you come. I remembered the way my name hadn't even been spoken in that toast. I remembered sitting in silence year after year, gift after gift, while everyone else got credit for being someone. This wasn't about vengeance anymore. It was about relief. I'd carried that weight for too long, and now it wasn't mine anymore. But the story doesn't end there. Because after the media flare-up died down and the social feeds went dark, something unexpected happened. A letter. A real one. Mailed to my apartment. No return address. Inside was a simple card. Handwritten. I read everything. You're not wrong. They always treated you like a spare part. I saw it. I'm sorry I didn't speak up. If you ever want to talk, I'm here. Jake. Jake. My cousin. The quiet one. The only person who used to talk to me like I mattered. I smiled for the first time in days. It meant something. Maybe not forgiveness. Maybe not a full repair. But connection. An ember in the ash. A few days later, I took a walk through the city. I passed a toy store window and saw a father kneeling beside his daughter, tying her scarf. She looked up at him like he was everything. It hit me in a way I didn't expect. I would never be that son to my father. And that was okay. I wasn't going to keep chasing their love like a dog under the table begging for scraps. I didn't need to, because I had built something. Not just a career or a revenge plan, a life. One where I had integrity. One where I didn't smile through cruelty or laugh at people to feel taller. And as the cold wind hit my face, I realized something even more important. I was free. Free from the unspoken rules. Free from the small, smug jabs. Free from the empty praise that always came with conditions. That night, I logged back into the cloud account. Looked at all the files. All the dirt. I hovered over the delete button. Then, slowly, one by one, I wiped it clean. Not because I was scared. Not because they asked. Because I had already won. I didn't need to keep the sword raised to prove I had it. And as for the family, Evan relocated to a smaller firm in another city, rebranding himself with a new last name, his fiancée's, conveniently. Nicole pivoted to lifestyle blogging, carefully avoiding any reference to her former, perfect family. Her comments were still limited. Mom reached out 6 months later. A soft email. I miss you. I didn't realize how much until you were gone. I replied, briefly, kindly, thank you. I hope you're well. We haven't spoken since. I didn't go back. Not for birthdays. Not for holidays. But I did start hosting my own Christmas dinners. Small, cozy, full of friends I chose, people who saw me for me. And under my tree, there's always one plain brown box. A reminder, not of the pain, but of the moment I finally stepped out of their shadow and never looked back.